Yes, you can conjure up some evil entities. Let me tell you, we had this couple from New York who came. It was a full house, and they were supposed to stay 2 nights. So I came in. Where's the rest of the people?
Right there.
In the other room,
Oh,
taking pictures.
They can hear you.
well, okay. So I come in on the second night, and I see them in the hallway with their luggage. I said, "Are you supposed to stay 2 nights?" And they said, "Well, yeah, but we brought a Ouija board with us, and we kind of conjured up some evil entities, and we got to get out of here." I said, "Take the evil entities with." They flew out of the house. They were scared out of their wits. We didn't know what they were doing in their bedroom. For all we know, how do we know they could have been practicing witchcraft up there for all we knew? But they were scared. And they left. They had paid for 2 nights, and they took off. So I always say, oh, Ouija board is so dangerous. You got to be careful what you ask, because evil entities can come through. You know what I'm saying? Anybody dealing with Ouija boards?
No, but it sounds
Back in
like
1968.
We all play, but it's dangerous.
Yeah, I've heard really
It's
horrible
dangerous. Yeah, you can't. When you're a kid and you ask for who likes this one and that one, that's one thing. But if you watch those shows, they'll tell you how dangerous. I don't know how that Zach and Nick and Aaron go into these crazy places. They do investigations and they have to be staged. One of the guys said when they took us back to the airport, he said sometimes we have to stage him because he gets he like attracts these evil spirits.
It's so backward.
Yes, yes. It's not good. It's not good at all. And when they were here a couple of years ago, and they were supposed to stay from dusk till dawn, and they asked us to come in to do a seance with them, which was the first time they've ever done that. Well, we were only here for about an hour, and then we had to leave. Zach said, we're going to get the girls out because he said, I can see Mr. Boylan's going to harm them. And he had the axe in his hand. He was shaking. Remember that? Yeah. Honey is shaking with the axe. It was true. Everything. I wondered if they were, legitimate. But everything that happened was legitimate. I was there and I saw it. And they were supposed to stay till dawn. They didn't. Leanne said they left 1:30 in the morning out the cellar door out back. Because they were scared out of their wits here. Yeah. But nobody knew that, but we know that she saw them leave. And then, the next day, she saw the cellar door has a glass window. The next day, it was loaded with great big black flies. We've never had that before. She took a picture of it. A lot of black flies. It was because of them being here, I'm telling you. That was evil, really evil. Never had a fly since, before or after, never. So she took the pictures, and when I went down to Vegas, she brought that up on the screen, and he said, well, it was hot, it was August. I said, look, Zach, we've never had that before, and never had it after. It was after you left, that's what happened. So, anyway, you gotta be careful. Like, you can use it, but like I said, use it at your own risk. Even though mediums does the same thing, very dangerous. So, okay, Mr. Borden would normally come home at 12 o'clock every day to have his lunch. He wasn't gonna pay for the restaurant, right? But that day, maybe because he wasn't feeling well, he came home at 10:45. He went over to the fireplace, took his key off the mantle, and he went up the back way to his suite. In order for him to get to his bedroom suite, he had to go the back staircase like the maid. These rooms, like one goes into the other to the other. But to get up to the third floor, you gotta go the back stairs. So he's looking for his wife, and she's not there. So then he comes in, and Lizzie's in the dining room finding her handkerchiefs. Listen to what these girls did. What a boring life. They ironed handkerchiefs. They did a little embroidery, they did a little crochet, a little needlepoint. These girls had no job, they had no money, they had no boyfriend, they had no life. It was terrible. And so here she is ironing these handkerchiefs. And he asked her where his wife was, and she said, someone came to the door. One of her friends wasn't feeling well, so she went to see what she could do for him. That was a lie. But he believed it. I mean, that never happened. And because after the murders, they had an ad in the paper like, please come forward, there's a reward. I don't know if it was $500, a reward for any information. Nobody came forward. It's like OJ, they're still looking for the murderer, right? They're still looking for the murderer. golf clubs in Florida, well, he's in jail now. But, so he believed her anyway, and, she said she took her father's shoes off, but if you look in the photograph there, his shoes are on, but it could have been her habit to take her father's shoes off before he took a nap. And so she said he decided to take a nap. Now, this is how these people lived. All these doors were closed. Closed. Someone funny, they even had shutters inside all the windows. Now, we don't put the shutters downstairs because it makes it too dark. You see, but this is how these people lived. It's almost like the doors closed, triple locks on the front door, locks on the back. It's almost like keep the secrets in. And I'm not gonna say too much because when things happen to me, you have to use your imagination, keep the secrets in. And that's how these people live. So he's taken a little nap. The maid finished the window, and she had to let Mr. Borden in. He came home early, and then she said to him that she was gonna go up to her bedroom on the 3rd floor to take a nap before she prepared lunch because she wasn't feeling well. And he said, you go right ahead, Bridget. So she goes up, and as she goes up, all the doors are closed all the way up. So, what happened? Before she went upstairs, before Mr. Borden came to the door early, Mrs. Borden, the stepmother, she went up to the guest room where Uncle John slept. She went up to tidy up. She was putting the pillow shams on the bed. And Lizzie was supposedly downstairs having a breakfast. The maid was outside washing the windows. Now, the maid was on the back of the house washing the outside of the windows in the back of this house. She was talking to Dr. Kelly's maid next door. She was sick. She was vomiting. She was not a happy camper, the maid, but she had to do those windows. It was her job every other Thursday to do the windows. So, this is what I think happened. I think Lizzie let the murderer in. He went upstairs while Mrs. Borden was doing the bed, and he killed her, 19 blows. She's dead. Mr. Borden hadn't arrived yet. If she let out one scream, the poor thing, that's probably all she could do. The maid's outside in the back, she couldn't hear that, okay? So then the maid comes in, finishes this window, and then she had to let Mr. Borden in. And then, as I said, she went up to her room to take a nap. Mr. Borden's lying here taking a nap, and Lizzie claimed she was in the barn. She said she was looking for lead sinkers. She wanted to go fishing. She liked to fish, and a piece of metal to fix the screen. That was her alibi. She said she probably was out in the barn, maybe 15 or 20 minutes. She remembers eating 3 pears. 3 pears, that was it. And then she said when she came back in the house, this door's closed, so she went into the dining room, put her hat on the table, opened that door, and that's when she claimed to have discovered her father's body dead on the sofa. Now we know he sustained 10 wounds to the back of the head and his eye. Then she went up 1 flight of stairs, screamed for the maid to come down, and send the maid across the street to get Dr. Bowen. Now Dr. Bowen wasn't in. She left a message with his wife. In the meantime, Lizzie stands inside the screen door in the little kitchen area, you know, going out into the little hallway of the kitchen. And Mrs. Churchill, who lived right next door, I call her Mrs. Kravitz. My husband says to me, yeah, she was a nice lady. I said, hey, women know these things. It was a boring life. She sees Lizzie inside her screen door, and she comes running out and say, oh, Lizzie, you don't look well. What's wrong? What's going on? Now, I don't know how she can see what Lizzie looks like. She's inside the screen door, but she's nosy. That's what I say. And that's when that's when Lizzie said, oh, Mrs. Churchill, do come over. Someone has killed Father. Do come over. If that was you and I would be screaming. Call 911, call the police. No, do come over. So Mrs. Churchill came over, and she came in and she saw the father dead on the sofa. She runs across the street to the livery stable because that's where her hired hand was. Sends him down to the paint store. I think it was Smith's paint store. That's where the telephone was, and he had to call the police. But there was a reporter there, and the reporter called, I think it was the Boston Herald, 2 newspapers they called. That was a big scoop. They might get something for that big scoop, you see. And then the police were called, but they didn't get here till quite a bit later. So when Bridget came back to say that Dr. Bowen wasn't in, and she gave the message to his wife, Lizzie said, oh, you know, Bridget, she said, I think I heard Mrs. Borden come in. And would you go up the stairs and check? Well, Bridget didn't wanna go, she was scared out of her wits, but Mrs. Churchill, the nosy neighbor, said, I'll go with you. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do.
Of course she
We're
did.
gonna go, oh yeah. I said, it was a boring life. She must have seen the maid go across the street to get Dr. Bone, and she sees the maid coming back and forth. Oh, something's going on next door. I gotta find out what it is. You see? Women know these things. So then we're gonna go up this way. This skirt is original. This skirt belongs to me. On the top, it was her. And,
Still hard and bad.
Huh? Oh, sorry.
Go stand by the Ouija board.
Actually, he killed Mrs. Borden, and he waited until Mr. Borden came in, and then he killed Mr. Borden. She describes what he looked like. He was short, had a little thin mustache, he had coveralls on, but I said, you know, when that man went out, you had blood all over him, people noticed. Well, she said he had coveralls, and she sees him taking sardines off, rolling him up in the he probably rolled him up with a hatchet or whatever he used.
It's the murder couch.
And that's what I think happened. I wasn't there. But you can use your imagination of what the motive was. I'm not gonna say. Okay, so here it is. Mrs. Churchill said she would go up with Bridget to check on Mrs. Gordon. And she goes up and she walks in the step over here. And they look to the left. And they can see
I said that before. She said she had the shutters all downstairs. I was like, maybe we weren't right. Because they showed her in the movie, she's like kissing him on the lip. There's a lot of jealousy.
Yeah, we definitely did.
I think it was probably. And that's wasn't. Well, they probably figured that they deserved whatever it was he was going to give everything he had. Oh, wait, Ashley. Oh, yeah, you guys got to go first, unless you want to help catch her.
You want to be responsible for the
Yeah, it's it's actually pretty line. No, it's back. Your hands are back.
You can start.
Slow. Slow, stop.
Is she alright?
Yeah.
My feet are too big.
Who's gonna carry me? You alright?
No, my knees.
Okay. You don't wanna go to the third floor, but that's all right. It's worse.
Okay.
Going up to the fifth is like this. Okay.
Somebody's in there. It's a ghost.
Okay, she's bent over, she's putting the pillow shems, she's tucking in the bedspread. The murderer just rushed her, first blow right here, so she saw exactly who did it, okay? And then she probably tried to get away, the poor woman. As she did, she fell. The murderer straddled the body, gave her another 18 blows for a total of 19. Now, a woman with a long dress and a petticoat is not gonna straddle a body. Okay, they would have gone, the murderer, who was a woman, would go around and do it this way, not straddle the body. So the poor woman She didn't have a chance, not a chance in hell. And she was murdered, they figured she was dead at least an hour and a half before Mr. Gordon because the blood had congealed and there was a lot of blood. And here, see, they moved the bed and took this picture. Now this furniture looks like the original, doesn't it? It's not. Martha McGinn, when she sold this property to Donald Woods and Leanne Wilbur, it was a package deal because Martha McGinn, she opened up the bed and breakfast before they even brought in the second owners. See, Martha McGinn and her grandparents bought this property in the 1940s, and they lived here for 40 years because the grandfather was a printer, and that's why he wanted the print shop. And we were talking about the print shop, and that's what he did for a living. That's why he bought the property in the 1940s, and the granddaughter, Martha, stayed with him. She lived with them. So she experienced a lot of things in this house.
Yelling. Sorry.
If you want to take a picture of that, you can, yeah. And they really made it look exactly like this. To put the matches,
Yummy.
they had to have kerosene lamps to put the matches in there. And this bureau looks exactly, the only, the handles are different.
They're a little bit more drawn, see, the
Yeah,
smaller drawings on
yeah,
the
they're a little
outside.
different, but if you look at it
Pretty good.
quickly, you
Yeah.
think, wow, that's the
Definitely is.
original, you know? Now, the sewing machine, that sewing machine there, that was used for the seamstress would come in and measure them up and make their clothing in the house. They didn't buy their clothing off the rack. You know, it was the seamstress who would come and measure them up and cut the material and sew it right here in the house. Now, Lizzie and Amber, if there were no guests staying overnight, Lizzie and Amber would used to entertain their friends. They had tea. It was like their little house. They had no privacy. No privacy at all in the house. So if there was no guests, they'd have this room as a little parlor for them. So the room, and back you, that dress, that's the dress Elizabeth Montgomery wore in the movie, The Legend of Lizzie Borden. It's on loan to us from Paramount Pictures. That's been there since I started. She
We
must
actually
have had
just
more
watched
than one
that.
dress for that movie, you know?
Yeah.
Because they just let us have it, and that was the end of it, just stayed here. The woman that played Emma, her older sister, was Catherine Helms. They tell me she was in Who's the Boss, and everybody loves Raymond's mother-in-law, the redhead. That was her in her 20s.
Yeah.
I never watched Who's the Boss, but guess they told me that she was in that too. Yeah.
The one from.
Oh, yeah,
Everybody loves
yeah.
Raymond, you know, Deborah's mother. That's her.
Yeah.
Wasn't she in Mary Hartman too, or something like
I don't know,
that?
I've never seen that, but a lot of people tell me she was on Who's the Boss. I never saw that.
Yeah, she was on Who's the Boss.
Yeah.
But she was on something before
She's
that,
still
like
a
Mary
good-looking
Hartman.
woman, yeah. Yeah. So, let me see, anything else here?
Actually, they just released the Lifetime movie. We just got it.
Yeah, we just watched
They
it.
released it on October 10th. The one with Elizabeth Montgomery.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we have it actually down the
Because,
car.
no, we tried to get that years ago.
No, they just released it October 10th.
Yeah.
We brought it with us.
So, what a great actress she was. She died
Sure
young,
was.
too. Yeah, she was really good. No, but I heard, I read it in the paper that they're gonna have a 6-part Lifetime movie about Lizzie Borden, but like after the murders. Christina Ricci, it was terrible, that movie that they showed about, I don't know, 6 months ago, it was horrible. They never once came to the house, they called and wanted to borrow the murder couch. Borrow the murder couch. And said, no way. That was made in British Vancouver. And now they're gonna have this Lifetime, it's gonna be modern, it's gonna be horrible. But you know, you can do whatever you want, you can make anything you want. We've had a lot of movie stars come in. We had Chloe Sevigny, anybody familiar with her? Yeah. She's been here 3 times. She wanted to, we had a script written by a scriptwriter, and she wanted to do the movie, and it was kind of up in the air. Tom Hanks was gonna produce it, but it never came about. You gotta get the money to produce this, you know? Now this one with Christina, oh God, I can just imagine what that's gonna be. Did you get to see that movie? It was horrible.
The new one?
It's, I believe the name of it is Lizzie Borden Had an Axe.
Yeah, it's not that great.
No, it's not.
Absolutely.
The Elizabeth
I think
Montgomery
it's on
one is much
Netflix.
better.
Actually.
The Elizabeth Montgomery one is much
Oh,
better.
she was wonderful. She and the dresses she had a tie, everything in water. Remember that? And then the music and the cocktail pies, liquor. I
She
remember
was a
that.
spinster.
She was. I mean, they made up things that were like ridiculous. But anyway, like I said, when you write a book, you can do whatever you want. When you make a movie, you can do whatever you want. It's too bad that Chloe Sevigny, that didn't materialize because we had a script for it and everything, and it was gonna be after she was quitted too. It was gonna be a long movie, but I don't know, they just couldn't get, that takes years to get somebody to produce something like that.
Miniseries.
But
One of the stories that I heard overplayed the fact that she was a spinster and she never married,
right.
and kind of gave hints or underlining clues that she was a lesbian. I mean, is
I
there
know,
any?
Nancy O'Neill, the actress. Yeah, I read where Nancy, in fact, I have photographs of her, she was a beautiful woman. She was happily married to a producer, director who directed many of her movies until they lived together till the day she died. I'll have to remember when I get down to the kitchen to look for those photographs. There's all kinds of, well, we're gonna talk about that in the kitchen, okay? Anything else that you wanna kind of bring up here before we move? Okay, we're gonna go into the
Who's that?
They lived together till she died. She's gonna talk about it down in the basement. I mean, down in the kitchen. We're going in the basement.
I'm not going upstairs. My knees back hurt too much.
Okay. That's our room. This is our room. This one and this one. Well, I'm not gonna say anything. And this door locks. Oh, they're sleeping on the bed. I can tell you that right now. Watch. Ain't no way. That's the biggest one. It's like a king size. Huh? I'm not chicken. Are you gonna leave Ashley alone? I don't think so. But we have a bathroom sink.
You're gonna come in here because I wanna close that door a little bit.
Hey, hello.
No, you come in.
You shut the door on me.
Didn't I?
Yeah,
Yes,
we're
you
gonna
did.
talk about that door.
That door?
Okay, this was, see, when they first moved here, Lizzie was like 10 or 12, and Emma was 10 years older, so Lizzie got the living room, Emma got the big room. And when Lizzie grew up and went on her 19-week excursion to Europe, she went on this big cruise. When she came back, she asked her sister if she couldn't have the larger room. Now, her sister always gave it her own way. So this became Lizzie's room, and Emma went into the small room because Lizzie had a lot of pictures and souvenirs to display. Now, Lizzie had like, I guess it was a 3/4 bed, and it was like cornerwise here against the door. And there was hook and eye lock on this side, a sliding latch on the other side, and she had a red drape over the door with the bed going this way, okay? Now, this is Lizzie and Emma's real mother, and they tell me this was Emma. I can't prove it because it's sealed and it almost looks like Lizzie to me, but they tell me that was Emma. What do you think? And her mother died, I think she was 37 when she passed away.
And how old was Lizzie?
Oh, she was only 2, a little over 2
That's
when her
right,
mother
older
died,
than
her real
2.
mother.
So you know for a fact that's her real mother?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. That's true. And she died at 37, they said, of female problems.
This child's at least 3 or 4, though.
Well, then it must have been Emma, it had to be Emma then.
Had to be Emma then.
Yeah, then they were right when they said it was Emma. I just.
Yeah, that's not a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
Oops.
And this is Mr. Borden at an early age. Yeah. You know how long it took to take a picture in those days? You notice none of them smiled because they would stand there forever. Some of them had like props that they had to lean up against, like metal things,
They
you
had
know?
to have, because they
to
had
keep
to
them-
stay there
yeah.
for 5 minutes.
That's right. So that was her
I'm
mother.
taking a picture of you.
And you know,
Come like
there was
helping you
another
take a picture.
baby, Mrs. Borden, the first Mrs. Borden, she had another baby, Alice, which would, she would have been a little older than Lizzie. So it was, Emma, baby Alice, and Lizzie. Now, Alice died at the age of 2. She said, that she had fluid on the brain, that's what they said. And that's what she died from. That's the only thing I've ever heard of, she had fluid on the brain. There's a lot of things they had in those days, and they really didn't know exactly what it was, but that's what I was told anyway. Now, the bookcase, the second shelf from the bottom, those books belong to Lizzie, they're signed, and one of the books says with edge tools, those were Lizzie's books. All those books, they're all, yeah.
They're actually her books?
Yeah, they were her books, and they all she's still signed by Lizzie. And of course, the other things are just antiques. You know, we had like that. She has that lock, but that all the way up, the third shelf up on the right. There's like a photo album. And I mean, every time I have my tour, things disappear, and I say, that's not my tour. Where is it? That book, that photo album, had pictures of dead babies. Because in those days, you would take pictures of dead people, mostly babies, and they look beautiful. They don't look like they're dead. And I would say to the guests, well, all right, now, there's a lot of pictures here of babies. You pick out the one that's dead. And you can't pick it, you really can't pick it out. But that's what they did. And then she goes and locks it up in there. They have some really weird pictures in there. And sometimes they dress up the dead people and sit in there with a scar or whatever. Crazy, but that's what they, you ever hear about that? In the old days, they do that.
Oh, yeah, taking pictures of
Yeah,
dead.
they're dead. Prop them up to make them look like, in a chair, like they're still alive. But the dead babies, that was so
This
cool.
is Star.
Wow,
No,
that's what they did.
This is
No.
Star.
There was a desk right in front of that door, because, and that door was locked, because that door led to Uncle John's room, the guest room. So they had that there, prop. Now, in the other room, Emma's room, the dress on the mannequin belonged to Lizzie when she was a young girl, and it's still in not bad shape to say that was Lizzie's. And we got those dresses and the skirt from downstairs. It was her chauffeur, the family inherited a lot of her dresses and donated them to the house. Now, there were pictures in there, and it was all Emma's pictures. Like on the wall was Emma, and the pictures of Emma on the bureau of her at an early age, maybe, I'm saying maybe 7 or 8, and then the other one looks like she might have been 12. That's all Emma, the older sister.
That was her room?
Yeah, Emma. And here's what happened now. It was weird in those days, the police, I tell you. After Lizzie, after they found the stepmother and the father and the police came over, Lizzie came upstairs to change. They said she changed to a pink wrapper, like a house dress, into Lizzie's room, Emma's room, she changed. And then the policeman came up to identify what she had on at the time of the murders, and about when your mother was murdered, and she said, she's not my mother, she was my stepmother. Well, it's true, she wasn't her mother, she was his stepmother. And they could have looked through her drawers, but they didn't, because in those days, you'd have to have a matron come up and search. They would never disturb a woman's, oh my God, a woman's personal, oh no, it wasn't done in those days. Today, they rip everything apart.
Victorian something.
Victoria, oh, they never had a matron come and look. Say if she was the murderer and she hid something somewhere, they would never find it, because they didn't. Now that closet was ajar, okay? It wasn't completely closed. And on the floor was a package all wrapped up. Now, it was kind of like sticking out of the closet a little bit. Now, a policeman should have opened it up and said, well, what's in this package? It's all wrapped. No, what did he do? He cooked the thing, he kicked it right back in the closet and slammed the door. Talk about Keystone Cops, you know? And my father was a policeman. It's not that I'm making fun of police, it's just in those days, they were like Keystone Cops. They really were. They were not
You guys
thorough.
have had some pretty famous cops in there, though, right?
Oh, yeah.
Tom Lang.
Oh, yeah, Tom Lang, he came with, I think it was A&E. That was the time, I wasn't in that show because I was in the kitchen watching. They had actors and actresses, and Tom Lang came. He was a nice guy, very nice. And they were trying to determined by the blows, the blood spatters. And they went down into the basement with luminol. You know, even to this day, the blood, yeah, you can pick
A lot
the
of
blood.
blood.
Yes, yes. And, but we don't know, I mean, what that blood was.
They thought Lizzie did it
Oh, I know.
naked,
They
Yeah.
did.
that she
I've
was
heard
naked.
that too.
Yeah, but you know what? The Elizabeth Montgomery movie showed her doing it naked. Let's face it, in Victorian times, they didn't even take a bath they took a bath in a slip. They were so modest. That'd be the day. Now, here's another thing on when they did that movie. Was it that one or another one? So many movies here. Well, maybe it was that when I was in the kitchen and they were all in costume, the actresses, okay, and the actors. And the woman in the kitchen with me was portraying Emma. And the woman that was portraying Lizzie had her hair up and she took her hair down, took her blouse off, and she had one of these low cut, like a gown would be a low cut, but she took her blouse off, the old fashioned blouse. The man is on the couch. Oh yeah, the makeup artist was in the print shop. I remember that. We had all the costumes in the print shop. And the man that portrayed Mr. Borden looked nothing like Mr. Borden. When she got through with the makeup, the guy looked just like him. I was amazed at that. So they got the guy laying on the couch, and Lizzie takes off, puts her hair down, hanging her hair, takes off the blouse, and still has fully clothed with a big skirt, right? She takes the hatchet, or the axe or the hatchet, and she's going to whack away. So what does the cameraman do? He takes her head and her back, which is there, right? He takes a picture of her hair, the back of her head and her hair. And then the woman in the kitchen that's portraying Emma said, the legs. So she takes off her shoes and stockings, hikes up her dress, and tiptoes around in the kitchen, in the living room, and he takes a picture of her legs to make it look like Lizzie did in the nude, and they were both fully clothed. So, you know, they only show you what they want you to see. You could have on a tuxedo top and bathing shorts at the bottom, and you never see it. So, and I was there to see how they did it, and I said, oh my God. And when it was on, that's what it looked like. The girl was naked, and she wasn't. She wasn't. But of course, the Elizabeth Montgomery, I don't believe she was naked doing that either, because in those days they were very modest.
Well, even so, I mean, if blood was everywhere, it would have been in her
gotten in
hair.
hair.
Yeah.
And then her
There
hair
wasn't
either
enough
would have
time
been wet
for-
because she washed it and it wasn't Saturday.
And no blow dryers in those days.
Yeah.
And
so,
I mean, her clothes would have blood. And how would she clean up so quick? Elizabeth Montgomery took a pitcher of water, poured it over herself, and all the blood disappeared. One pitcher of water did it, right? There's no way, no way. She didn't have enough time. If it was Lizzie, she did not have enough time to clean up. She didn't.
well, it would have been stuck in
Not
the hair.
today,
She never
to
would
get
have
away
gotten
with
it.
Oh,
But
today,
back
Somebody
yeah.
would have seen
back
something.
then-
Throw it in the washing machine, take a shower, yeah, right.
But there would have been residual evidence.
Right.
Back
and they-
then, you know, they were overlooking quite a bit of stuff.
Oh, yeah, but still, there wasn't a drop of blood on Lizzie
But the
anywhere.
attack was so personal. It was
Oh,
not
I
that
know,
many
I know.
blows to
But
the head.
this guy that supposedly, this is what the medium says, she sees him. This man that was hired by Uncle John for $200 or $300. His
So he's
job.
no relation to the current
No.
family, right?
No, no.
He's related to the first wife,
Who, the murderer?
Uncle John.
Oh, no, Uncle John is, yeah, to the first wife. That was the first wife's brother.
Right.
Yeah, this was her brother, Uncle John Morse.
Lizzie and Emma's blood uncle.
Blood uncle,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So the medium says what happened was, no, I forgot what I was gonna say about, talking about, how he, oh, okay. Mr. Borden's brother-in-law, Uncle John, paid this guy, and this guy, he was not from this area, he was a pig farmer. His job was to slaughter pigs, and they said he used to do overkill on the pigs. He was a nutcase, overkill. So, he got either $200 or $300 from Uncle John, not from this area, did the deeds, and took off. And then, that was the end of him. He got his money. Here's another kind of a suspicious thing. Remember after the murders, everybody's all upset, the police are there and all this, people really